Human relationships are the mirror of our soul. When someone misses us but doesn't take a step toward us, it's easy to drown in a sea of doubt. We think we weren't important enough, that we did something wrong, or that the other person never felt the same. But the truth is far more complex than what our conscious mind can grasp. The human psyche doesn't follow linear logic, especially not in matters of the heart. Love and distance can coexist within a person without canceling each other out. To understand this phenomenon, we must dive deep into the unconscious. Imagine sharing meaningful moments with someone, feeling a genuine, deep connection. And then suddenly, this person disappears from your life. Not because you don't matter to them, not because they don't miss you, but because something inside them is holding them back. Have you ever experienced that? A connection that felt unbreakable, simply dissolving without a clear explanation? It's confusing, but it isn't always a sign of a lack of interest. Human behavior is not solely driven by logic. More often, our actions, feelings, and avoidances are guided by invisible forces working deep within us. Louise Hay, one of the great teachers of self-awareness, showed us that many of our decisions stem from unconscious beliefs we've carried since childhood. So if someone distances themselves, despite longing for connection, their behavior might be shaped by emotional wounds they're not even aware of. It could be fear of closeness, past trauma, or deeply rooted beliefs about love and relationships. Some defense mechanisms activate automatically, without us noticing. I call them hidden emotional patterns, invisible threads that steer our behavior. Let's consider this example. A person who grew up in an environment where love was linked to abandonment may develop an avoidant attachment style. Their mind associates closeness with pain, and even though they crave intimacy, their subconscious says, "Protect yourself," by pulling away before it hurts. Paradoxically, the stronger the feelings, the stronger the urge to flee. Louise Hay once said, "Until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our life, and we will call it fate." So if someone misses you but doesn't reach out, it's not necessarily about you, but rather about that person's inner conflict. This is where the concept of the shadow comes in, that part of ourselves we deny, repress, or don't want to see. Sometimes we don't distance ourselves because we don't love someone, but because that person touches something within us that we're not ready to feel. Maybe you represent a truth to them they're not ready to face. Maybe you remind them of a painful emotion, a desire they cannot allow themselves to feel, or a self-image they're not willing to question. So if someone who was once very close to you seemingly cuts you off for no reason, don't take it as a reflection of your worth. Instead of seeking answers outside, ask yourself, why do I need this person to reach out? What part of me feels incomplete without their validation? What old wounds are being triggered within me by this situation? The path of self-healing that Louise Hay always taught shows us. True love is born not from lack, but from abundance. If someone misses you, but lacks the courage to come closer, it's not your task to chase them or to prove your value. Instead, it's your opportunity to ask, am I dependent on someone else's presence to feel whole? Love does not mean neediness. It is a conscious choice. If someone, no matter how much they miss you, is not ready to take that step toward you, it says more about their inner state than about your worth. Louise Hay said that true connections arise when two souls are on a similar level of growth. If someone is not willing to face their own inner conflicts, they will also not be ready for real, deep love. Accepting this is not easy, but it is liberating. Instead of wasting energy trying to understand someone else's behavior, focus on your own growth, on knowing yourself, discovering yourself, and becoming the best version of who you are. And when you do, you will attract relationships that reflect that same energy. Instead of waiting, suffering, or trying to influence someone else's decisions, the best response is acceptance. Absence also communicates, and often its message is clearer than any verbal explanation. That's the moment when true transformation happens, when you stop looking for answers in others and begin to find them within yourself. Something shifts profoundly when you realize that you don't need someone else to choose you in order to feel complete. The only choice that truly matters is the one you make for yourself, the decision to value yourself, to prioritize yourself, and to move forward without relying on external validation. When you stop chasing what isn't aligned with you, you create space for what truly resonates with your essence to enter your life naturally. Louise Hay had a clear perspective on this. When we align with our authenticity, life gives us exactly what we need, even if it's not always what we think we want. Sometimes, someone's absence is not a punishment, nor a sign that you did something wrong, but rather a disguised lesson, an opportunity to learn to let go, to trust that genuine love cannot be forced, and to understand that your worth is not measured by who chooses to stay, but by how you choose yourself every single day. If you've ever felt the emptiness left by someone who misses you but doesn't reach out, and that has caused you pain or confusion, remember this: you are not here to convince anyone to stay. It's not your role to wait for someone to overcome their own fears or internal battles in order to love you fully. You are here to evolve, to discover who you are beyond the need to be validated by another. When you decide to prioritize yourself, when you stop seeking answers outside and begin to listen to yourself honestly, the universe responds. As Louise Hay used to say, true transformation occurs when you integrate every part of yourself, including your shadow, and allow yourself to live from a place of authenticity. That's when the people who are truly ready to meet you arrive in your life without needing to be chased. Every connection we form with another person is a reflection of something we carry within. If someone misses you, but doesn't seek you out, that distance isn't just an external fact. It's also a mirror of what's happening in their inner world. Carl Jung taught us that relationships act as catalysts for our psyche. By interacting with others, hidden parts of our mind emerge, aspects we may not have fully recognized or understood. It's possible that the person distancing themselves from you, despite missing you, is facing an internal battle they don't fully understand. Perhaps in seeing you, you awaken in them a desire or emotion they are not yet ready to accept. Jung believed that the people we form deep bonds with have the power to activate repressed aspects of our shadow, those fragments of our identity we've hidden due to fear, shame, or simply because we don't yet know how to integrate them into our lives. When someone distances themselves without a clear reason, it's natural to wonder, what did I do wrong? Why am I not enough? But the truth is, this situation has far less to do with you and far more to do with the internal struggle that person is experiencing. We all carry emotional wounds that influence how we relate to others, fears of rejection, unconscious beliefs of being unworthy of love, or even the feeling that opening up emotionally will make us lose our independence. And if you've ever felt the urge to pull away from someone you cared about, you know that it's not always a rational decision. There are deep impulses within us that lead us to avoid situations or people who confront us with parts of our own mind we are not yet ready to face. Maybe the person who misses you but doesn't reach out isn't running from you, but from themselves. And in that case, there's nothing you can do except accept, let go, and keep moving forward. If someone misses you but doesn't come closer, it's likely they're fighting an internal battle they're not even fully aware of. It's not just about emotions. It's a confrontation with their own unconscious, with deep fears and feelings they don't know how to handle. Often, the problem isn't a lack of love, but rather how a person sees themselves and what it means to connect with another human being. Louise Hay believed that love is a process of individuation, an opportunity to integrate our fragmented parts and become more whole. But for many people, love isn't seen as a safe haven. It feels like a threat. Loving someone means opening up, being vulnerable, facing the possibility of getting hurt. And when the fear of vulnerability outweighs the desire for connection, the most instinctive response is to run. This leads us to a fundamental question. Do we really want to be with someone who isn't ready to face themselves? Because if the other person hasn't done the inner work of integrating their shadow, that inner conflict will eventually surface in the relationship. What starts out feeling like a deep, passionate bond can quickly turn into a pattern of fear, avoidance, and emotional wounds that grow deeper with time. When someone misses you, but doesn't reach out, it's not just about feelings. It's a sign that they're not in a place where they can sustain the kind of relationship you deserve. Not because they don't want to, but because something within them is holding them back. And if we cling to the idea that it's our job to fill that void, we end up caught in a spiral of emotional dependence where our well-being relies on someone else. This is where the concept of projection becomes important. Louise Hay taught that we often project our own unmet emotional needs onto others. If we lack self-love, we seek validation from someone else. If we feel like we're not enough, we crave someone who will make us feel worthy. But when that person doesn't respond the way we hoped, when their distance hurts, it's not because they're taking something from us. That wound was already there before they came into our lives. This is the real awakening. The question shouldn't be, why won't they come back? But rather, why do I need them to? What part of me feels like it needs to be chosen in order to feel whole? What emptiness am I trying to fill through this connection? When we understand this, we stop seeing someone's absence as rejection and start seeing it as a chance to grow. Jung said that destiny is not something that happens to us. It's something we create through our choices, both conscious and unconscious. If we keep seeking validation in relationships where we're not a priority, We're repeating a pattern that needs healing, and the only way to break that cycle is to stop looking outward for what we can only find within ourselves. Accepting that someone misses you but doesn't come closer is hard, because we've been taught that love is proven through actions. But sometimes the strongest message is in the inaction. Their absence is their choice. How you respond to that absence is yours. You can wait, overthink, and search for reasons. Or you can use that space to build a deeper relationship with yourself, to understand that true love doesn't come from need, it comes from freedom. Real love is not a promise. It is a mirror. It shows us who we are, reveals which aspects we need to work on, and gives us the opportunity to evolve. When someone pulls away, the question shouldn't be, how can I make them come back? But rather, what is this situation showing me about myself? Because in that answer lies the key to your own transformation. The human mind is a labyrinth of emotions, but only when you dare to walk through it with awareness and courage do you discover that everything you've been searching for on the outside has actually always been within you. Our hidden fears and desires shape our relationships more than we realize. When someone misses us but doesn't reach out, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing they simply don't care enough. But Louise Hay taught us that the psyche operates on much deeper levels, and what we perceive on the surface rarely tells the whole story. People can feel love. They can experience longing, but that doesn't necessarily mean they are ready to face what that connection awakens in them. The unconscious is vast and complex, and not everyone has the strength to explore it without fear. Some prefer to run rather than confront their own emotions, not because they don't want to, but because their psychological structure doesn't allow them to respond in any other way. Some individuals learned from a young age that love is inevitably tied to suffering, loss, or deep vulnerability. If someone grew up in an environment where affection was inconsistent, where love had to be earned, or where being emotionally open meant taking a risk, then as an adult they might associate emotional closeness with danger. They may feel love for you, may miss you deeply, but the fear of reliving painful patterns keeps them at a distance. Louise Hay explained that emotional wounds don't simply disappear over time just because we want them to. If they're not brought to consciousness, they remain hidden in the shadow, manifesting through behavioral patterns we often don't understand. One of those manifestations is emotional avoidance. The mind, in its effort to protect us, develops strategies to keep us from reliving past pain. And often, that means pushing away the very things that truly matter to us. That's why someone can feel your absence, remember you fondly, and even want to be close to you. But at the same time, their instinct tells them that staying away is the safest option. This is where the deeper question arises. What is it that I truly need? When someone doesn't take the step to reach out, even though deep down they miss you, their behavior not only reveals something important about their inner world, it also reflects something within you. If that distance affects you deeply, if it makes you question your worth, it's because there is a part of you still seeking validation from others. The love we crave outside of ourselves is often just a reflection of the love we haven't yet given to ourselves. Louise Hay said that the process of individuation, the journey to wholeness, means integrating all parts of ourselves, and accepting ourselves without expecting the outside world to fill our inner voids. So when someone misses you, but doesn't come looking for you, the real question isn't why they don't, but why am I still waiting for them to? This is where real transformation begins. It's not about finding ways to bring them back. It's not about trying to understand their behavior. It's about looking at yourself honestly and asking, why do I need this confirmation? Because when someone misses you but doesn't pursue you, what's truly happening is that the universe is offering you a lesson in detachment, self-love, and the importance of letting go of what doesn't flow naturally. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean giving up or resigning. It means understanding that authentic love doesn't need to be forced, that when something is meant for you, it arrives effortlessly, and that if someone is unable to take the step to be by your side, it's not because you aren't enough, but because their current path simply doesn't allow them to. It is not your job to convince anyone to choose you. Your only task is to choose yourself. When you become truly aware of this, something shifts in your energy. You no longer desperately seek answers in someone else's behavior, because you understand that their process is not your responsibility. You no longer wait for messages, signs, or gestures to confirm what you already know deep inside, that you deserve a love that is clear, free, and intentional. Because love is not doubt, it's not fear, and it's not a game of intermittent distances. Real love is a choice, a surrender without resistance, a presence that doesn't need to be forced. The love you truly deserve, when it comes, won't leave you wondering whether it's real. Real love is certainty. And the first certainty you must have is your own self-worth. When we heal our own wounds, we stop attracting people who reflect them, because the outer world is nothing more than a mirror of our inner world. If you constantly find yourself stuck in relationships where you're endlessly waiting, where the other person seems paralyzed by their own fears, where uncertainty outweighs connection, then there's still a part of you seeking to affirm your value through others. And until that wound becomes conscious, you'll keep repeating the same pattern. But here's the good news. You can change this dynamic the moment you choose to stop waiting, the moment you stop asking why the other person isn't reaching out and start asking what you truly need to feel whole. Because the truth is, the greatest love you can ever experience doesn't come from another person. It comes from a deep connection with yourself. And when you reach that point, when you realize that you don't need to be chosen by anyone to feel worthy, the universe responds. The people who come into your life stop arriving from a place of avoidance and begin arriving from a place of authenticity. They stop acting out of fear and begin acting out of clarity. And that's when everything changes. Real love doesn't keep you waiting, doesn't keep you in confusion, doesn't make you doubt your worth. If someone misses you but doesn't reach out, it's not your job to fix their internal conflict. It's your task to learn how to let go, how to trust, and to remember that real love always finds its way. Not because you chase it, but because you attract it when you're truly ready to receive it. When you understand that love isn't about waiting for someone to overcome their fears, but about living your own truth, everything begins to shift. The absence of someone who misses you but doesn't reach out no longer feels like a wound. It becomes a revelation, It's the universe clearly showing you that you don't need to chase what isn't ready to meet you. Louise Hay taught us that relationships are mirrors of our own psyche. When someone doesn't take a step toward you, it's a sign that there's something in their inner world that hasn't yet been integrated. But here's the key. That is no longer your burden. It's not your job to heal anyone. It's not your responsibility to wait for someone to sort through their inner battles before they can be with you. You didn't come into this world to live in the uncertainty of whether someone will choose you or not. You came here to remind yourself that you are the one who must choose yourself first. Because when you do, when you truly commit to your own growth and well-being, you begin to attract relationships that reflect that same clarity and maturity. Real love is not confusion. It's not avoidance. It's not doubt. Real love is certainty, and that certainty starts with you. You don't need subtle hints or endless analysis of what the other person feels or doesn't feel. What matters is how you feel, how you choose to live your life, and what kind of love you're willing to accept. Because when you choose yourself with conviction, the universe responds. It responds by sending you people who are also ready to choose you. So now the question isn't why isn't that person reaching out to me, but rather why am I still waiting for something that isn't coming? What part of you is still holding on to the belief that love must be difficult? What story are you still telling yourself about what you deserve? Because the moment you let go of that belief, when you decide to release what isn't flowing, you open the door to something far greater. Nothing is a coincidence. If this message resonated with you, if you feel like this was something you needed to hear, it's because your subconscious already knows the answer. You are at a point in your journey where you need to remember that you are not here to be a second option in anyone's life. You are here to live fully, to surround yourself with people who add to your life, who uplift you, and who choose you with the same certainty with which you would choose them. I invite you to reflect on this and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever felt that someone missed you but didn't reach out? How did you handle that situation? Do you feel like it's time to let go and choose yourself? Share your experience, because every word you leave may not only help you, but also someone else going through the same thing. If this message brought you value, help me share it with more people. Give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss more content like this. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Because together, we can create a space where more people awaken, heal, and begin to live from their authenticity. Remember, you are not here to wait for anyone. You are here to choose yourself. And when you do, everything that is truly meant for you will find its way into your life. See you in the next video.